All right, everyone, it's time for some more bug news. Today, it's about another possible global pandemic comparable to the Zika scare in 2015 and 2016 as an arbovirus being spread by mosquitoes. Uh, FYI, so when you read a lot of these articles, they'll talk about arboviruses or arboviral diseases. Arbovirus is just it's an abbreviation that's become its own word. It's arthropod-borne viruses. That's what that is. So this is a virus carried by biting flies, particularly mosquitoes and midges, traditionally found in South America, and it's called the Oropouche fever. So the concern has been that this particular virus has had a tenfold increase in the last year, gone from like 800 cases a year to 8,000 cases a year, and has begun showing up in places outside of South America. It's been showing up in Canada, the Caribbean, Europe, and it is a potentially lethal disease. So this is a disease that is normally carried by biting flies between things like birds and monkeys, but which is capable of infecting people. And generally speaking, they talk a lot about in this article that it infects sloths and primates. The issue is actually, or generally, the migratory birds. So whenever we have these mosquito-borne illnesses, it is almost always birds that represent the biggest threat as far as a host. Because migratory birds travel between continents, local mosquitoes can pick up the virus from the bird population. This is how like West Nile spread. This is how a lot of the mosquito-borne encephalitis viruses spread, and this one will probably be no different. But the issue is that several people have died of this, including young people, which is kind of concerning. But this is another, if you're familiar with them, another flavivirus or orthoflavivirus. This is similar to, it's related to Zika, but it's also related to dengue, which is another viral disease that is very common in Central and South America, spread by mosquitoes, and does occasionally cause epidemics in the United States, particularly in the Gulf state regions. So this Oropouche, I had never heard of this before today, and I'm fairly familiar with a lot of the arboviruses, but this one was a relatively uncommon disease, which has now ticked up quite a bit, and now the global health authorities are concerned about it. I suspect it's not going to be as common as West Nile, just because that seems to be a fairly rare thing. This might, be another Zika incident where everyone gets extremely worried about it, and there's a lot of hand wringing, and eventually it, simmers down to nothing at all. But so far, this is a concern. What's really interesting is it's not just flies, or it's not just mosquitoes. So normally, these sorts of diseases are exclusively spread by mosquitoes. But this particular virus, this Oropouche, is also spread by biting midges, which actually could be a concern, especially in like the northern United States, where there's a lot of biting midges, and also northern parts of Europe. I think it was this year they were talking about in Scotland there was just an epidemic of biting flies. Every year in places like Maine and Vermont, there's frequently these huge outbreaks of biting flies. So that is a concern, and people do tend to get bit quite a bit by those flies, and they don't get as much attention as mosquitoes when it comes to pest control. So add this to your radar of stories to look out for over the next 6 months, this Oropouche, because it will likely be brought up if for no other reason than to stir panic in the media. And I'll talk about it as it comes up, and I'll see you guys later.